two quick points on the police complaint thing. Do not tell the officer that you are going to make a complaint. Because now he's going to hate you. Or she. No, I don't want to think that assumption. So you want to hone in on their badge and try to memorize that number. Or at least the name. You want to be able to get either the name or number. If you can get both, excellent, but you got to get at least one of those.
If you're getting a ticket, the name and badge number is on there, so you don't need to do that. If this exchange has started to go bad, I would not do that. We can find out who it is. You make a complaint. I was stopped at such and such a date, this location, at this time. We don't need the badge number to go back and find out who that was. We'll have it. You know, you see what I'm saying? You know, what's your badge number, pal?
Yeah. The other thing is, things might not necessarily get better, but they're never going to get better if you don't make the complaint. That's the only way that that officer is going to get in the process of being removed from the street. Maybe they'll get put on desk duty, maybe they'll have their badge taken away, maybe they'll get arrested if they're really bad, but it's not going to start until they get the complaints starting to pile up.
I have two questions. One's about probable cause and one's about vagueness in the laws. I'm in the First Amendment law class and they said that if you take a case to the Supreme Court, often if something is too vague, it will get thrown out. How come some of the laws that are really vague, like that just allow for so much discretion, aren't considered like unconstitutional?
Well, usually if a law is too vague, that law is thrown out. The law will be thrown out, will be ruled unenforceable. So I'm not exactly sure about the point. But what's the probable cause?
Well, my sister got arrested when she was just with a person who had like an outstanding warrant, and she was just with them, and then they said because she was with them, they had to search her and like everything on her. And stuff like that.
No. But if they told her that they had to search her and she did not assert her right, she waived it. If she went along with the search, and then it's called a consent search. If you agree to a search, it's called a consent search, and you have given up your Fourth Amendment protections at that point.
What was she arrested for?
She had a bottle of alcohol on her pipe. It was like someone else, like some person was driving her car, and just so happened that like that sober person got a warrant out for their arrest, and they got pulled over, and he got taken out of the car, and apparently everyone got handcuffed.
One of the problems with dealing with situations like this is these situations are extremely complex, and this is the vagueness issue too. You know, case law addresses a lot of very specific instances, and that's all further than it goes, because these encounters, everyone's a little bit different. So for us to try to give you some guidance about that particular incident is really difficult.
Yeah. The other thing is, if it hadn't been a warrant that person had been arrested for, but something was discovered in the console or something like that, then yeah, everyone in the car would have instantly got arrested. Virtually every state has some sort of.
They didn't just search it after he was arrested, and I think that it was one of those things they were like, oh, we need to search the car right now. We need to search the car right now. And they were like, okay, you need to search the car right now.
Yeah, vehicle search. If the police are going to search, if they really want to, they will do it, and that. You can't stop the reality of that, but what you can do is assert your right, and that will protect you in court if you've done it properly and the courts do their job properly.
And in this instance, probably that whole encounter, my guess, is on video. So, sir.
What do you do if you're arrested and they don't read you your Miranda rights?
Miranda rights do not have to be read simply as a result of arrest. There's two parts to that. One is custody, and two, interrogation. If you're arrested but there's no interrogation, there's no need to read your Miranda rights. As a matter of fact, in training, I tell cops, don't read the Miranda rights until it's appropriate, because, you know, what's the first thing anybody does, I tell you have the right to a lawyer, is they clam up and lawyer up. We want them to talk. And I'm talking from the police point of view here, and talk about dealing with people who do some bad things. I don't want to give you that out if I don't have to. Okay? Sir, blue hat.
A bunch of questions. One, what do you do about the whole, what is it, they go, they check your plates, they check your records, and you have a couple possession charges. So all of a sudden, even though you haven't, smoked weed in a year, they have consent to search because they smell marijuana in your car. How do you prevent that?
Having priors and the scent of marijuana in a car.
Because cops lie about that all day.
Well,
They'll even have
yeah,
dogs
that
sit
they
and
smell it.
they can
Usually,
even trigger dogs.
yeah, usually
say
the
they
smell
smell
thing
things
doesn't
and
hold up unless the officer has had some very specific training.
Because I've been given tickets too for drinking where they don't breathalyze me, and I ask them to breathalyze me.
Mhm.
And they just say, oh, we smelled it in your eyes.
So what were you arrested for?
Open container and, well, I've been arrested.
The open container is the element of it. It doesn't matter breathalyzer or not.
Mhm.
If I'm holding an open bottle of beer in public,
No, it was
You're
the
done.
MIP. The open container was just a ticket. It was
okay.
And then another question is, can I not consent to the police taking my picture? We're on a really small college town, and should we complain about this? Actually, me and my friend were just walking up the stairs, and a cop came running, chasing after us, and said, you have no reason to stop us. We're on our way, and copped my friend and threw him on the ground real hard. And then he took my picture. They had taken my picture like 4 times, just walking around campus and come up and take my picture.
That's-
that, tell them to fuck off or something.
Well, you can tell them to fuck off.
Well, that's
but-
disorderly conduct.
But that's about all you can
It's
do.
about anything is disorderly conduct.
Cover your face.
Yeah,
Or
sometimes
resisting arrest.
that will be, well, but if you're in a public place and,
This wasn't a public place.
okay. If it's on campus, probably if you were walking from building to building, they probably would. If, you're,
It was in the dorm.
in a dorm, yeah, that's
In my own.
That's questionable.
is this the university police?
Yeah. Can I make them delete these pictures?
You know what I would do? I'd get somebody like him, if you can't afford a lawyer, you need to make an appointment with the chief of the university police, and you need to tone down a little bit the attitude and have a discussion with them about that. Look, my picture was taken 4 times. What's the deal? I really don't appreciate it. I feel like it's a violation of my right to privacy, and we need to have a discussion about it, not a confrontation.
The other thing is, I would contact your local ACLU. They may not do anything, but
No, they're Russian orders.
yeah. They tend to be. But the lawyers are the ones who are going to be able to do something in this situation. If this is some sort of systematic program that a police department has, that sounds really, really fishy. And
Yeah.
things like that are stuff that the ACLU loves to clamp down on.
You're a university student. This is a university community. It's a very reasonable thing for you and anybody else that's experienced this to make an appointment with the police chief of Kent State Police and have a discussion. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possible. Sir.
Is there a way to make an undercover police officer reveal himself?
Good question.
Buy the drugs from them?
That's one way.
They don't sell drugs, they buy them.
It can work both ways, but
It's revealed when you go to court, you have a legal right to face your accuser. And, again, my experience was advised, we rarely use police officers to make drug buys because it's just too dangerous. I mean, I've been sitting where we've got guys wired and they're buying drugs on a street corner, and two dealers are flashing guns at each other. I mean, they have the right to sell these guys I don't want our guys in that situation. So
What about
CIs,
snitches?
CIs, CIs is the proper term for that snitching.
No, they've offered it to me before.
Confidential
They've offered
informant.
it to me.
That person has to, if you go to court, that person has to appear to testify
But
against
there's
you.
no way to know beforehand to prevent
No way to know beforehand.
So,
No, I mean, really, let's be
But a CI can
realistic.
only get a search warrant, right? A CI can only help the police get a search warrant. That
To
can't
get a
be
search warrant
directed to
requires
arrest.
probable
That's not
cause.
anything you're doing.
So they have to go to a judge and say, we have to convince that judge that there's probable cause to
To
search.
search a certain
Yeah,
area.
yeah. Judge has to sign off on that.
So this is pretty much related, so there is no legal requirement for an informant to expose himself to. An informant can-
Absolutely not.
An
No.
informant can try to basically entrap you, like try to get you to expose yourself doing illegal activities to them.
And-
And that's what they're supposed to do.
Let's be
Okay.
honest, some of the, some of these CIs are not really model citizens, are they?
Right.
I mean, they're in that job for a certain reason.
Well, the other thing is the law enforcement's going to want to preserve their ability to use that undercover or that informant, so they are not going to, it's not like you get arrested and all of a sudden, like, they're going to, like, hold the informant's hand up, they're like, victory,
Yeah.
No, like, they're going to either make it look like they're arresting them or just cart them out of the room and you don't see them again, like, you're not going to know until you go to court.
Or it's gonna be on video, or there's gonna be marked money. I mean, the informant is just a piece of the evidence, so don't get fixated on that. Let's get somebody else, and we'll come back to you. Okay? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Along that same line of discussion, to clarify and this is varied by state to state perhaps, but are police officers allowed in that capacity as an undercover officer to use, if I'm smoking marijuana or somebody is ingesting marijuana, are they allowed legally to partake in that in order to convince their...
Can't they fake smoke or something?
That's, our agency's policy is you are not to do that.
Period.
Okay, you're not to use, you just need to creatively get out of that, because it's one of the dangers of using cops in that
CIs out
role.
by just making them take a big bond.
I missed the cow, go ahead.
You can screen out any potential CIs by just making them take a big bond.
I'm talking about police officers, not
Is it
CIs.
the same
So
for
CIs
CIs?
can smoke and CIs can do drugs and everything.
CIs can
No,
do
it's
all
all
kinds of
CIs.
The
illegal
rules
stuff.
are not terrifically clear on that.
Typically, CIs are CIs because they've done illegal things and they are trying not to go to jail. And they're going to continue doing illegal things and manipulating the system to keep them out of jail. So, yeah, you couldn't detect a CI by that.
Well, let me say this, he's made a statement that's probably pretty accurate, but if you're one of our CIs and we catch you doing something illegal, your days as a CI are over and you're on your way to jail.
What?
Sir?
Like, is it Mike?
Yes.
Mike said if a cop wants to search you, he's more or less going to be able to do so. But then you also advised us to say, I deny consent, or I don't give consent to searches. Isn't that just gonna maybe give them a little bit more suspicion that you have something to hide? Because I've literally been searched solely for the fact, I smell marijuana, but it was really because I was wearing my shirt that said hanging with my buds with the and I know that's why I got searched. And I said, no, you actually can't search this car, it's not in my name, and I don't see any reason. And it's like, I've been in two situations where they've called dogs out, one where I had something legal, one where I didn't. And when I didn't, the dog still marked the car, and I know for a fact that the cops made the dog do that because they had a toy and they made the dog say that I had drugs. So is there any way to avoid that kind of situation, other than not wearing the shirt on?
It's almost two different things. You're talking about the immediate situation where you're just trying to get home so you can do whatever it is you're doing or get on your way. And for that outcome, your rights don't really matter too much. If a police officer wants to do something, they physically can get away with doing it. Now, legally, and when it comes to your rights and all that, that's where you gotta assert your right to, I deny consent, and then he goes in and searches anyway.